If you want to learn more about effective management, head over to mattsingers.com and sign up for my free management training.
Welcome to the Mad Singers Management Podcast from madsingers.com, where entrepreneurs and business managers learn and share. If you like the show, don't forget to leave a review.
Hello, and welcome back to the Mad Singers Management Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Adam Keller. Welcome, Adam.
Thanks for having me on.
I'm super excited to talk with you today. We're going to talk a lot about management as usual, but about team culture, efficiency, and really how to get to know your business. So before we start, Adam, do you want to give the audience a little bit of an idea about who you are and how you ended up where you are right now?
All right, so my name's Adam, and right out of college, I started a party rental company because my roommate in college worked for one, so I'd go work with them. And then during the summer, I came back home, got that, and then I started seeing the invoices, over the summertime. And I was like, well, I could do that. And I don't like people telling me what to do. So I knew that an office job or something wasn't going to be my long-term future. So I started that. But in the meantime, I still had jobs. I was working 40 to 80 hours a week at various jobs, saving up money to buy the next year's equipment that I needed. Because I started with tents and then I needed tables and chairs. So I was working 80 hours a week at gas stations and cleaning hotel rooms, to the point where I get to today. So I graduated in 2002. I'm here today. My roommate was my mentor because he started his own company too, but he knew a lot more than me. And I'm looking at YouTube and wanting to do something. And I see some dude, completely different field, but all he does is point a camera at his face and talks. I'm like, okay, I could do that. Not getting into all the editing stuff. So I started doing what I know, which is only party rental stuff. So I started that and teaching people about that. And then it grew into a course. And then I joined TikTok to learn business ideas. But then on TikTok, it was nothing but junky business ideas. And I'm like, listen, I know real people that do real things, and I've tried a lot of things. Let me do real businesses or side hustles. And then that accidentally took off too. And now I'm here.
That sounds perfect. The entrepreneurial journey is a very interesting one. So I've definitely been on similar roads myself. Ended up starting loads of businesses and still have about 6 of them. So lots of fun.
Yeah.
The first piece, getting to know your business and really know the business you're in. Tell me a bit more about that.
Okay, so if I were to ask you, I just told you my main business is event rentals, tents, tables, chairs, and stuff. If I were to ask you to say what business I am in, what would you say my business is?
I would probably call it an events business.
Okay, so would a lot of people, but an event is really the product of what we do. What my business actually is a material handling and logistics business. I need to figure out how to get stuff from the warehouse to the truck to the site, install it as quickly as possible, and do the reverse the following week. So if I can focus on buying jackhammers, buying carts, putting everything on wheels, focus on things that are going to make my material handling, logistics, and installation faster, then my business becomes more profitable. So I'm not a party business. I'm more like a moving business. And once I realized that, I was able to buy the expensive equipment. Yes, it is expensive, but there's returns to it. I was talking to a chiropractor, and everyone's going to say that his business is being a chiropractor. Well, he was getting only 40 customers in a month. He decided to try messing around with Instagram and TikTok, making short videos, some of them kind of funny, some of them educational, some of them just showing exactly what he does, a whole kind of mix of stuff. And his business went from 40 customers to 400 a month. And he quickly realized that even though the end result of what he does is being a chiropractor, his actual business is customer acquisition. So he himself doubled down on that and grew it from 40 to 400 a month. And this goes for anything. You may think you're in a particular business, but when you really get down to examine it, that's just your end result. You're actually in a different, day to day, you're doing something different than what your end result is.
Love it. Yeah, and I think particularly the investment point, I think is so crucial, right? Because I think a lot of the time when you're when you're looking at your business and you're looking at what is the competitive advantage really. And that's, I guess that's what you're saying, right? Like it's really about the competitive advantage and understanding where do you stand out and where can you differentiate yourself and really and create profit margin, right?
Yeah, everyone's always concerned about the top line. Let's get to $1 million, 5 million, 10 million. But no one's ever talking about on TikTok or YouTube or anywhere the bottom line. Now, you could have, your business could make $1 million at a 10% profit margin, and that means you're bringing home $100,000. But if you reorganized everything and only brought in $600,000 at a 30% profit margin, you're now bringing home $180,000 for less work. But still, everyone wants to talk about million, 5 million, 10 million. Let's talk about efficiency. Let's get to that and increase the profit margins and take home more from what you're already doing.
Yep, I love it. I love it. And it's fundamental. So I spent a lot of time in the sort of SEO space and all these agencies, and that is the exact challenge I see again and again. Like they're like, yeah, I have $1 million agency, but I'm trying to pay myself $2,000 a month or something, and that's the exact problem, right? So that's cool. That's cool. And how if someone's sitting and they're not sure how to figure out what business they're in, do you have any exercise or any kind of things to help them think about how to get to that result?
Yeah, so being on TikTok has taught me that a lot of people have not even thought about business. Like I'll make a video of like a business that I know someone's making a lot of money doing, or I'm making a lot of money doing, and the comments will just be like crazy basic questions or disbelief. So quickly I learned that a lot of people have never thought about this business. I've been training myself since 22 to kind of think a certain way, and I didn't even realize it. But most people, this is their first time they're thinking of it. So my suggestion is, it's not a motivation thing. It's not a get up and go thing. You got to start training your brain. So you're going to stop watching TV. You're going to stop playing video games. If you're going to be watching YouTube or TikTok, you're going to be watching something to learn something. You're going to be watching, if you want to own a business, start watching those people, even if it has nothing to do with what you're going to do. Watch the painter business on YouTube. Watch the pressure washing business on YouTube. It may not be what you're going to do, but you're going to just absorb things and you're going to start training your brain. When you go into a restaurant, look around, see how they make money in various ways. When you have a service come to your house, see how they operate. You don't have to talk to them, but you can just start to like hypothesize how they're making money and what they're doing right. So you now start training your brain. You are just automatically going to be taking steps in your life. You're going to see opportunities and just be automatically going towards business things. I know there's a lot of self-help books and a lot of speakers who are all about motivation, and I find a bunch of that to be junk. It's not about motivation. It's about actually retraining your brain just to see opportunities and see how other people in the world are making money. And then you'll just naturally start to do that without even trying.
Yeah, I love that. And I think particularly when you're new into business, like so many people, it's like, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't know any ideas and so on, right? And when you've been in an entrepreneurial space for a relatively short time, you have a great new idea a day, right? So I think that's a big point, right? But yeah, I love it, like particularly restaurants and so on. Just when I'm sitting watching, I'm like, I know they make their money on soft drinks. And sometimes, like particularly I spend a lot of time in Asia, sometimes you'll see restaurants that don't actually serve you the soft drinks until you're done eating. And you're just sitting like, they don't realize how they make their money because they're not focused, right? They don't have a good understanding of where to profit, or at least the people who are doing the service don't understand how they make money. Right?
Exactly. And then if you're ever at like a failing restaurant, like it's not that good, and you open up their menu and it's 10 pages long with so many things, you're like, all right, you need to cut this. I've never owned a restaurant, but I know, and you got to get this down to 20 items maybe, and this needs to be shared with this, these ingredients this needs to be more simple. Just because you have a passion for food does not mean you should have 500 items.
Yeah, and even a bigger thing is, when you go into a restaurant with 500 items, and then half of them are out of stock. So you're putting an expectation to a customer and you're not delivering because they can't actually get the thing you made them excited about. So
exactly.
Yeah, 100%. Excellent. Adam, let's talk a little bit about efficiency.
Yeah.
How do you become more efficient?
So obviously in every business, that's going to be completely different. You know, in an online business, it's going to be software that you use and systems you put in place. In my business, that's what I've kind of become the de facto professional in the party rental industry. Everyone comes to me. So like I said, I'm material handling basically day in and day out. So number one is having a warehouse with loading docks so that you don't have to lift stuff up into the truck. You just put everything on wheels and go in and out. Number two is putting everything on wheels. Number three is having a box truck with a lift gate, because now you got to get those things that are on wheels down to the ground and then wheel them to where they need to go. Number four is like the installation stuff. We got those really, really big stakes. We used to hammer those in by hand. It took an hour, 3 dudes an hour. So I bought a $4,500 jackhammer. Now that takes one dude 15 minutes. Average pay of each guy with social security and all this stuff added in is $25 an hour. Now I'm saving $75 an hour. You do the math on that. That's not that many days to pay off that jackhammer. The big hurdle for everyone is sometimes things are expensive. A software for your business might be $200 a month if you got a subscription plan, but and a jackhammer is $4,500. There's one machine I really want at $60,000. It would make my business go a lot faster, but actually I'm not at that particular level. That's for like massive places, but like if I was there, I would buy it. But a lot of people are afraid of it, and they'd rather, buy more equipment, buy another van. I don't know, like invest the money into things that they see generating revenue. But these other things, they not necessarily generating revenue, but they're creating profit, and everyone's scared to buy them because they just don't see the connection.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think, all businesses go through that. And I think there's two key things. One of them is to understand when it makes sense, right? So particularly in the online business space, I see a lot of people who are trying to invest in automation and automate everything very early on before they've actually nailed down the process, before they actually know what they're doing. So they spend so much time and resource trying to automate something, only to realize that, oh, that was not the kind of way we should be doing it or whatever, right? So definitely nail down the process and really understand where does it make sense to invest, right? And then I love doing it. I love putting ROI on it, right? So sometimes it might be an expensive software, but if it replaces a human, it can be very expensive and still make it still be very profitable, right?
Right.
Whereas if you're looking at it from sort of automation or anything like that, you need to look at, is it going to take me 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months to make up the money? But also, a lot of time when there's humans doing things, the chance of error, the chance of mistakes is higher. Whereas if it's automated, if it's actually, simple copy paste stuff or whatever, if it's automated, the likelihood of mistakes is generally significantly less, right? So you both have the saving from a time perspective. You also have the saving from a manpower perspective, and you have the saving that everyone overlooks, which is you don't have to manage as many people. Because if you're managing people, you can manage one more person without it being a big thing, but it still takes away time and focus and effort that could be used elsewhere. So
right.
That's definitely what I see a lot. So, but yeah, I love the way you think about the business side. I think that makes a lot of sense. What like when you're talking with people and sort of sharing ideas and so on, what are the things that you find is probably surprising people the most or helping people the most in this area?
The most surprising is, I kind of touched on it, is a lot of people just don't know anything. They don't even know what to ask. And when they do ask questions, they ask a very basic question. Whereas if you're talking to someone who already's had several businesses, they skip the basic questions. And one basic question is, I make videos day in, day out of business ideas that people are making money doing, real ones. And 100% of the time, someone says, what about insurance? And it just blows my mind. I'm like, yeah, what about insurance? Why are you even asking that? Like, yes, it's a business. You need insurance. Let's skip past that question and ask me something more meaningful about this business. It's too basic. You have a business, you have insurance. So that's the surprising bit, is just that, you're insulated in your own world and the people you're around, and you all think a certain way. And then you realize that, wow, no one Now, the large majority of people have no idea that anything about business, and this is their first time even thinking about it.
Yeah, and this is the big thing, because reality is people's like, oh, it's so hard to start a business. It's so, and I'm like, if you put in the time and the effort to learn, like, yes, there's many businesses out there, but there's so many businesses who are very successful without being particularly great at anything, but actually just taking action, doing things, learning things as they go, right? Like, you generally don't need to be a rocket science to be successful, in my experience, at least.
No, so in the party rental business, for sure, the only people who fail are the people who don't do anything, like even just tiny steps. Pretty much anyone who buys some tables and chairs and gets their name out there in some way is going to at least make their money back. And then if you keep going with it, you make a lot of money, but it's really hard to fail in a lot of service-based businesses.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, I have a big outsourcing company as example. And one of the key things is we always bill customers up front. So no matter how bad it goes, like, you pretty much can't lose money. All right. So it's just a question of, again, how much money are you making? And then you need to then look and see, like, okay, we have a business, it's making money. How can we reinvest? What are the smartest things to invest in that gives us a good return? Right.
Right.
And then it's, yeah, about printing the money. So excellent. What about team culture?
Okay. So I'm a party rental company. It's all dudes. So, there's a lot of dude kind of businesses. There could be a road crew, could be construction. I did work in an office one time, and let me tell you, I did not like that company culture. Cubicles and middle-aged women blabbing back and forth and gossip and whatever. So my company culture is, someone said it's dude culture. My management style is, we're just a bunch of dudes. I make fun of you. I make fun of your mother. I make fun of your brothers. You make fun of me. We're in the truck a lot because, if we got 10 jobs, you're in the truck a lot. So we have crazy conversations that can never be repeated. Just think dudes saying dirty stuff. And, if we're out, I'll pay for lunch and whatever. So everyone who's ever worked for me has said it's been their favorite job ever, not because of the work, because it's hard work. We're working in the heat, downpour, sometimes the snow in the winter. Like, it sucks and everything's kind of heavy, but it's the having fun. We're getting stuff done. I do yell at them, like, if they're trying to talk to me and not moving, I'm like, I can hear you even when you're moving. So, they get that down, and then we just mess around and have fun. And I think that's the most important part. If I wasn't having fun in this business, I would not do it, because there's nothing like amazing about tents. It's the being outside, it's seeing new cool places, and it's like getting to really mess around with your employees who kind of become your friends too. So that's my management style, is laid back. These are your expectations though, but it's okay for you to make fun of my mom.
Yeah. And I think that's key thing, expectations, right? So a lot of the time it's not about being good or bad or mean or evil or too kind or too good or whatever, but it's, if you learn to actually set expectations and say, this is what is needed, this is what I need you to deliver, then definitely it becomes easier to be the employee, right?
Yeah. Now, if we had a girl that came in, we would tone it down, but we did have a girl come in one time, and she was even worse than the guys, but we're still cool, like nothing bad. But yeah, that's the kind of company management style I got, is laid back, but these are the things you got to do. And as long as we get these done every day, then we're good.
Any sort of do's and don't lessons you've learned from that? Because I mean, I guess sometimes maybe things go a bit too far, or that never happened.
No, it never has happened. Fortunately, like, you read people, and you make a joke about their sister one time, and they're like, no, not my sister, and you're like, okay, is your mom fine? And you're like, you can make fun of my mom.
Cool.
You're not allowed to make fun of my cats. Like, that's a big, like, don't make fun of my cats. They got that. They don't do that.
Right. Yeah. it's interesting. I mean, I actually had a huge learning experience personally when I was younger because I'm from Denmark originally, and I was working in Ireland at the time, and basically I had my boss come to me and say, "Do you know you offend a lot of people?" And I was like, "I what?" And she's like, "Yeah, there's people occasionally get offended when you're trying to joke with them. I can see you're trying to joke, but they end up getting really hurt." And I was like, that was absolutely not in any way, shape, or form my intention, right? And I was like, no, that can't be. And I'm sure people know I'm joking and so on. And it was funny because I ended up sort of in the back of my mind just kind of dismissing it. But what happened was because she mentioned it, I started sort of subconsciously looking at people when I was joking with them. And once in a while, exactly as you said, I realized, oh, this person, I made this joke or I said this ironic, sarcastic thing, and I'll just look at the expression and how they reacted, and I'm like, oh, she did not take that well, or he did not take that well. And yeah.
Is it because there's a difference in humor, or are you on the spectrum?
I think it's probably a difference in humor, and I think it's probably culturally. Like, so in Denmark, I mean, I tend to say in Denmark we don't have humor, we just have irony and sarcasm.
Okay.
And I think the big difference was that. And it's just the way we used to joke around, and actually similar to what you say, right? Like, you say all sort of shit, and generally in Denmark, like the more you screw around with someone and the more you're teasing someone, like the better friends you are, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas at least in Ireland, my experience, I mean, I work with many different very different people and so on, and sometimes also if English wasn't the first language of a person, and I was talking to them in English, sometimes irony or something can get misunderstood, right? But I definitely learned a lot from that experience, because I was like, yeah, you need to learn to observe people and just see how they.
Yeah, you got to be. I can't be me in a different situation. Like,
yeah.
So, I can be me, just a different version of me. I can't be the on the road crew me. You can't be stupid and apply that everywhere.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's cool. I love the lessons. Any particular resources? I mean, you said you've been educating yourself for a really long time. So any particular resources that you find really helpful to learn how to be a better business owner and so on?
Ooh, I hate this question because it sounds facetious. I don't like reading books on business. I hate it because I'm already doing well. And I don't want to read a boring book about it. Literally, I try to read a book and I'm like, this could have been said in 5 pages. Why'd you make this 200 pages? I prefer watching a YouTube video or TikTok, or it's more prevalent now, paying someone to teach you. Also Facebook groups. I joined Facebook groups to learn about those particular businesses. If you want to be a painter, there's like 5 business Facebook groups for the business of painting. So that's how I do it. I cannot stand learning it in a book. I tried reading this book about how to promote my online course. And literally when I'm done with it, I'm like, that could have been 3 pages. That could have boiled down to 3, just a whole bunch of bullet points. Instead, you're filling it with all this like anecdotal stuff. I just can't do it.
Well, you've probably never seen a 4-book page, so they probably need to fill it up somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think a big point is that people learn differently, right? So it's not only if books, some books at least, are not necessarily organized the best and so on, but I think it's also very important to understand how you actually learn the best, right? Because I think there's definitely, I mean, I don't have a problem reading, and I've definitely read lots of books in my life, but I definitely see people who sort of get clued on. And when I'm looking at my staff and working with my staff and helping them improve, I see some that, they're just, when they see a video, it just clicks for them. But when they're sitting reading something, for example, it just doesn't click. So yeah, people definitely learn in many different ways. So.
Oh, it'll click for me when I'm reading it. It's just boring as hell and a waste of my time.
Yeah. Makes sense. Any particular people you follow, or any particular people you recommend following, or anything?
Yeah, follow me. No, I'll also with that, I don't follow people about like Gary Vee and Grant Cardone. I can't stand them. I'm sorry.
Yep.
The people that I watch are more real world people. So like I watch this guy called Freedom Hustler who does real estate and RV rentals. I watch a few guys on YouTube, but they're like no names. I don't even know their names. I just know their face.
Yep.
The big guys, I just same thing.
And at some point,
they're saying a lot of nothing.
The people who are really good at marketing are usually big because they're really good at marketing.
And when you really boil them down too, they're saying a lot of nothing every time.
Yeah, it's often similar message repeated a lot of times.
Yeah,
I would say, right? So some of the things might be really good, but if you've heard the same thing phrased 7 times, then yeah.
Exactly. So I get more value out of the smaller people that aren't famous. And really, I want to reiterate this to anyone who's listening. Facebook groups on anything. Like you could say any business, and there's at least one Facebook group for it. And everyone in there is in that group because they don't mind teaching people. They're not in there to make fun of you or anything. They joined it to learn and share knowledge. Any business, that's like if you join one of those groups, you can save years on mistakes by learning through there to begin with. Or you can even save starting that business. Maybe you're like, oh, I don't really want to do this based on what I learned in here.
Yeah. And also love paying people. I think that's you generally want a bit more successful business before you start doing that. But yeah, just a shortcut of being able to pay people either to do things for you or teach you or teach your team how to do things, right?
Yeah.
That's and again, that's the value when you first have a successful business and you have resources, then life becomes a lot easier because then you can afford to invest, you can afford to again make these bigger purchases that really makes a huge difference for you.
Right.
Excellent. Adam, if people are eager to get hold of you and follow you or connect with you, what's the best ways to do so?
So if you want to learn how to start a party rental business, I have a YouTube channel with like 1,500 videos. It's called The Tent Guy. Just type in YouTube, The Tent Guy, and you can learn pretty much all of it, but it's 1,500 videos. So I get so many messages. I narrowed it down to like people who really, really, really want to learn. I have a course at startapartyrentalcompany.com. It's a 30-hour course. I was afraid of making courses because I know a lot of courses are junk, but I like made this above and beyond. A lot of people told me a lot of courses are not 30 hours long. So there's that. And then on my TikTok page is where I just share business ideas that I know and people that I know do. And that is real world side hustles on TikTok.
Nice. Love it. Love it. Thank you very much for sharing all your wisdom and experience with us today, Adam. It was great to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And to the audience, we'll be back again next week. Thank you for hanging on all the way to the end.
Thank you for listening to the Mad Singers Management Podcast. Please leave a review. It means the world to us. You can also learn more about management at madsingers.com.